Hey there, Morbid Maniacs! It's time for another spooky video. And for tonight's spooky video, I'm gonna be talking about 3 cursed spooky chain letters. I don't know about you guys, but back in the MySpace days and AOL days, I used to get a ton of these creepy chain letters, and not all of them, but a few of them actually did manage to creep me out. Like, I remember the Carmen Winstead one. That one literally gave me chills and nightmares. I made a video all about Carmen Winstead, so if you guys haven't seen that, I will either A, link it down in the description box below, or just put it somewhere in this video for you guys to see. But before I get into the creepy chain letters, I just wanted to say that if this stuff, you know, creeps you out and you don't really handle this sort of thing well, you're afraid of getting cursed, I definitely would not continue watching the rest of this video, just because I don't want to be the reason why you're cursed if any of these are actually indeed cursed. Sally Stitch. A girl named Ashley sat alone in her apartment, bored. She was unemployed and she couldn't pay the bills with the little money that she had left. Her TV was broken and none of her friends were online, so she had nothing to watch and no one to talk to. Suddenly, she had an idea. She went to her email and started typing this. Long ago, there lived a little girl in a small town that was at the foot of a mountain. She was very shy and awkward and had no friends. That sounds like me. Her hair always hung in front of her face, once again sounds like me, which gave her a strange appearance, which made the villagers dislike her more. One day, on her way home, all the children in the town cornered her while she was walking. They started throwing rocks at her and calling her names. But the children suddenly stopped because the little girl raised her arm up and pointed to one of the boys.
"You will die in 3 days,"
she said. The kids got scared and ran off screaming. 3 days later, the boy unexpectedly started vomiting blood. He died before he reached the hospital. Soon the little girl started announcing more of the villagers' deaths, and they would all die on the predicted date. A wave of panic and fear swept over the town, so the remaining villagers had a meeting in the town hall. After an hour, they had finally decided. The young men in the village led the little girl into the mine, and as soon as they were out of sight, they grabbed her and led her into a secret chamber. They tied her arms, chest, and legs to a chair, and one of the men got a rusty sewing needle. He then grabbed her lips and started sewing them together so she could never foretell another death. Then they left her in the chamber and sealed the mine forever. If you don't want the little girl to appear by your bed tonight, you must send this to 12 people and the sender. If you don't, she will appear by your bed tonight with a needle in her hand. Ashley smirked to herself and hit the send button. The next day, she received 12 emails from her friends. All were the same chain letters she had sent. She saw them and laughed to herself.
"I can't believe they actually believe it. Pathetic."
She logged off her computer, laughing aloud to herself. She brushed her teeth and went to bed. But in the middle of the night, she woke up with a cold sweat. She heard a girly giggle in the corner, but no one was there. She turned to go back to sleep, and then standing there was a little girl with long black hair covering her face. She looked at Ashley with her cold gray eyes, and her hands were behind her back. Her face slowly broke into a mischievous smile, and she revealed her arms from behind her back started giggling. In her hand was a rusty needle. Sounded to me like she just had some kind of psychic powers, or she was kind of like Carrie and she had like telekinesis and she could like make stuff happen to people because they were bullying her. But like, rightfully so. I mean, they deserved it. They were bullying her, you know? The next creepy chain letter we're going to be talking about is called Scary Mary. About a year ago, I got a very strange email. It contained a shocking photo of a girl who had committed suicide. It said her name was Scary Mary, and years ago, she had lived alone with her mother in a little farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. According to the story, the girl was beautiful, but she was so insecure about her looks that she didn't believe it. She thought she was hideously ugly and hated to see herself in the mirror. Yet another chain letter that I can kind of relate to. She was also very lonely and never had a boyfriend. I'm gonna put like a little like trigger warning in this video because I don't want people seeing this and getting like triggered by it. So, it said she became so obsessed with her looks that she was suicidal and began self-harming. One day she was so depressed that she took a knife and started hacking away at her own face. She gouged out her eyes and slit her mouth open, then set fire to the house. She sat there bleeding as the flames engulfed her and she was burned to death. It said that if I didn't share her story with 10 people in the next 7 days, the dead girl would come and find me. I don't believe in these sorts of things, so I immediately deleted it. That was a big mistake. Exactly a week later, I had a free afternoon and I had nothing to do, so I decided to visit a friend of mine. When I was on the way to her house, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I got the strangest feeling that someone was sneaking up behind me. When I turned around, there was nobody there. I tried to shrug it off and put it out of my mind. When I got to my friend's house, we talked for a while and then I excused myself to use the bathroom. After I went to the toilet, I was washing my hands in the sink and I happened to glance in the mirror and saw something dripping on my shoulder. It was blood. I got such a fright, but when I put my hand up to my cheek and looked at it, there was nothing there. No gash, no drops of blood, no nothing. I looked in the mirror again and to my horror, I saw a bloody figure standing right behind me. It was the dead girl from the email, and she was holding a knife. I screamed and turned around, but there was nothing there. I was so scared, my hands were trembling and my heart was pumping fast. I ran to the door. All I wanted to do was get out of that bathroom, but the door wouldn't open. I kept turning the key in the lock and shaking the handle, but I couldn't open it. I was banging on the door with my fist and screaming at the top of my lungs. I don't know what happened then. I must have fainted. But when I woke up, I was lying on the couch and my friend was standing over me. She told me she heard me screaming and she had to break open the bathroom door to get to me. She found me laying in a heap on the floor, unconscious. I was so embarrassed, but I was relieved to be out of there. Then I put my hands up to my face and felt something wet on my cheek. It was blood. There was a gash down my cheek about an inch long. It was in exactly the same spot where I saw the blood dripping on me in the mirror. Believe it or not, this really happened. I still have a scar on my cheek to prove it. If you don't want Scary Mary to visit you, share this chain letter with 10 people in the next 7 days. So the last chain letter that we're going to be talking about in this video is called Sakai. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And this one really creeps me out because the picture that it has, and I'll probably end up showing the picture with you guys just because it's really creepy. I think it adds to the story. This is a photo of a Japanese girl who was in junior high school. At the age of 14, she committed suicide because of bullying. Her name was Sakai, and she was born with a severe deformity. She had only one large, bulbous eye. She kept her face covered with her long black hair to hide her shame. From the time she started school, she had to endure bullying because of her appearance. Every day, the kids in her class made fun of her and called her horrible names. Not only did she suffer bullying in school, but she was also bullied by anonymous people on the internet. They left vile and disgusting comments on her social media pages. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. One day, instead of going to school, she climbed up to the top of an abandoned building and tied a rope around her neck. Then, after she had scribbled a quick note, she jumped off the edge. The force of the fall yanked off her head and it was tossed into the air. Her body was discovered lying on the ground in a pool of blood. Her head was never found. On the roof of the abandoned building, they found the suicide note she left behind. It simply read, "Thank you for all of the pain." When Sakai's mother heard the news about her daughter's death, she was devastated. But then she found out the reason for her daughter's suicide and she was outraged and immediately went looking for those responsible. She wrote a message and sent it to all the students and teachers in the junior high school. It says, "Are you the one who killed my precious Sakai? Are you the hateful person who took my daughter's life? If you are, Sakai will have her revenge on you. You will die just as she died. Send this to 10 people in the next 24 hours. If you do not, it means that you have a guilty conscience and you are one of those vile people who bullied her. Sakai will know. Sakai will come. Sakai will kill. The guilty will be punished. Within days, every student in the school had received this message. 10 of them were found dead under mysterious circumstances. Their heads had been torn off their bodies. They were all students who were guilty of bullying Sakai. None of them had forwarded the message. At first, the police suspected Sakai's mother. They arrested her and took her down to the station for questioning. However, in the end, they had to release her because there was no evidence against her. There were numerous witnesses who had been with her at the time of the murders. As more and more people forwarded the message, it made its way around the internet. Here's the experience of one person who received it. One day my friend and I received this message on our phones. My friend was scared by it, but I just found it amusing. He wanted to forward the message, but although he was reluctant, I convinced him not to send it. That night, while I was sleeping, I heard a strange sound that woke me up. I saw a hideous young girl standing at my bedroom window. She was staring down at me with her one big eye. I immediately grabbed my phone and forwarded the message. The girl vanished before my eyes. I was so scared, I couldn't go back to sleep. The next day, I found out that my friend had died. He was murdered in his bed. I didn't believe in it before, but now I do. If you don't want to be a victim, please, everyone, forward this message. It says to share the link to this page with your friends within the next 24 hours. If you don't, Sakai will know and Sakai will find you. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. There were the creepy chain letters that are supposed to be cursed. I believe in some of these stories. I just wanted to say that I believe in some of them. Some of them I think obviously are just made up and they're for fun, but there you guys go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a big old thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already and become Morbid Maniac. Also be sure to hit that bell notification, that way you get notified every single time I upload a new video. And if you were not aware already, I now have an OnlyFans account where I will be posting all of my sexier content. So if you are interested in that, the link is always in the description box below, so you can go check that out. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video.